So imagine getting your first job, and the first piece of advice that someone tells you in that place of work is, now you know you're going to have to fake it to make it. Have you ever been given that advice? Surely if you haven't been given that advice, you probably heard somebody else give somebody that advice. Well, today, I want to encourage us all not to fake it to make it, but I want to encourage us to faith it to make it. So what are you talking about? Well, one of my favorite scriptures, and you probably heard it before, Hebrews 11:1, it says, faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. It's all about your faith. And people throw that word around like it's a piece of pie, or like it's just a piece of cake, and oh yeah, you gotta have some faith, and you gotta have faith of a mustard seed, and oh, it's just my faith. God is working on my faith, and I just need more faith, and oh, I have faith that it's gonna happen. I mean, that sounds good, but what is backing that? So today I'm gonna tell you a scripture about what James says, James 2:17 and 23, and he's talking about faith, and he's describing to the people what faith really is, because faith is not just something that you say. Faith is something that there has to be some type of action behind it. It has to be some work. So what does he say? He says in 17 verse, faith by itself, if it does not have works, is dead. But some will say, you have faith and I will have works. He says, show me your faith without your works, and I will show you my faith by my works. He said, you believe that there is one God, you do well. He said, even the demons believe and tremble. But do you want to know, O foolish man, that faith without works is dead? Then he gives an example. He says, was not Abraham our father justified by works when he offered Isaac, his son, on the altar? Do you see that faith was working together with his works, and by works was faith made perfect? And the scripture was fulfilled, which says, Abraham believed God, and it was accounted to him for righteousness. And he was called the friend of God. Likewise, was not Rahab the harlot also justified by works when she received the messengers and sent them out another way? For as the body without the spirit is dead, so faith without works is dead. Oh my goodness. I love that, because he's giving them an analogy, and he's wanting them to understand what faith is all about. You know, if I can go back to Hebrews 11:1 and just talk about faith is the substance. Now, there's a lot of information out on YouTube and out on the internet about what faith really is. And I don't even want to get into a debate, but I'm just sharing my perspective, the perspective that God has given me. And you know what I've learned? That if my perspective needs to be updated, and God will do that, and he knows how to do that. He knows how to bring life experiences to update his people. So for me, faith, let's talk about substance. Substance. That's one word, but it's also two words. What does that mean? Sub means under, right? And stance, what does stance mean? It means your posture, it means your position, it means your attitude. So what is your underlying attitude if you really look at it when you're talking about substance? You know, I love when people say, well, they have great substance to them. And I'm like, what are they really trying to say? They're trying to say there's an undertone, there's an undercurrent of some things that person has that they really like or they agree with. And that's what our faith is. Our faith has to be that underlying, that undercurrent identity of who we are. And it's not about what we say, but it's about what we stand on, what we truly, truly believe. And when I hear people talking about faking it, I mean, no one wants anything to be fake. I mean, you want people to be real. You want people to be authentic. And guess what? Sometimes when we're starting to do something, we can feel like we're faking it. But if you can truly, truly be yourself, if you can truly, truly be honest with yourself and be honest with people, then you're not faking it. The people who are faking it are trying to be someone who they're not. And they're not being truly honest with themselves, and they're not being honest with other people. And so that's what faking it is all about. And so we don't want to focus on faking it. We don't want you faking it. God does not want you faking it. If you don't believe in somebody, just don't believe in them, right? If you feel like somebody's lying to you, don't act like they're telling you the truth. No, just say, you know what? I feel like you're not telling me the truth. You see, that's being authentic. And when you can be authentic, then you can have faith. This is what I wrote down. I said, to learn something new or do something new, you have to take a step on the outside before you can feel it on the inside. I promise you, when you first start doing something that you've never done before, on the inside, it's going to feel like, man, I'm not being true. I'm not being real. I'm being fake. No, but if you be honest with that, if you just say, you know what, I'm doing this, but I don't feel like I should be doing this, and you do it anyway, now you're honest with yourself and you're honest with other people. And most people want to feel good on the outside of doing something, but guess what? You're not going to feel good on the inside at first, but if you do it enough, you're going to feel good on the inside and the outside. So, how do we faith it to make it? There are 3 things that we need to recognize in order to faith it to make it. Number 1, we need to recognize that faith without works is dead. What does that mean? That means you got to have positive beliefs with work. Okay? Positive beliefs with work. If you're working and you don't believe in what you're doing, guess what? That's not going to work, because it's going to be a self-fulfilling prophecy. You don't believe in what you're doing, and guess what? The work don't believe in what you're doing, and nobody else is going to believe in what you're doing. So you can say you have faith, but if you don't have a positive attitude about what you're doing, even though you've never done it before, it doesn't matter. Just have some positive beliefs. So you know what? I'm going to do this because I know God called me to do this, and that's all that matters. I promise you this. When I first started, when I was a student in high school and college, and even a freshman year in my college year, I had a major stuttering problem. And most people don't realize this. I mean, I would get in speech class and I would get in there and I would stomp my feet trying to make words come out, and I just didn't feel it. You know why I didn't feel it? Because I didn't believe in myself. I didn't believe in what I was talking about. And I had so much anxiety that I would hold my breath while I'm trying to give a talk. And God showed me, that's why you're stuttering. Moses had a stuttering problem, and God used Aaron to speak for him. So I'm like, when I first got to become a speaker, I'm like, God, you calling me to do this? He's like, yeah, I'm calling you to do this because you have a voice and I want to use that voice. And I was just like Moses. I'm like, God, I have a stuttering problem. And he was like, no, I want you to do this. And if you know anything about the Hattiesburg area, there's a guy by the name of Mitch Williams who used to be the sports director for WDAM, our local TV station. And Mitch was one of those first people who saw something in me and challenged me to speak. He would always want to interview me after our home basketball games. And I'm like, Mitch, man, I don't want to talk. And Mitch was like, come on, Sam, I'm going to make you look good. And so I do an interview with Mitch, and I felt like I would stutter and stumble through the interview, and I would get back to my dorm to watch the interview, and Mitch would actually make me sound the way I'm talking right now. I don't know how many cuts they had to do to make it sound good and look good, but I saw myself. Listen to me. I saw myself on that television screen and doing an interview. And I said, wow, that's the way I sound? Now, on the inside, it didn't feel like that, but I saw it on the outside. So if you want to faith it out, you got to see it on the outside. Most people want you to see it on the inside first. It's not always going to be that way. See it on the outside first. And then when you see it on the outside, do it enough to where you feel it on the inside. Because when you've been doing it enough, you need to be feeling it. And I promise you, I feel it right now. You probably still feel it through the video. So faith without works is dead, number 1. Number 2 is we have to demonstrate our faith through our actions. You have to show it. You can't just talk about it. So many people, I hear them talking about, I have faith, and I have faith, and I have faith. But then you look at what they're doing. It doesn't line up. You see, we don't faith it out when what we say does not line up with what we're doing. If we're saying one thing and doing something else, now we're faking it out. That's what we're doing. And God does not want us to fake it out. Here's what I wrote down. When we demonstrate our faith through actions, it's about our works, not our words. It's about our functions, not about our feelings. It's about our efforts, not our emotions. It's about our production, not just about our praise. Listen, I'm good with all of those other things, but at the end of the day, the hardcore, when the rubber meets the road, it's literally about what are you literally doing every single day. That's how you faith it out. You don't faith it out by going around talking. You faith it out by doing the work. And before you do the work, you got to believe in it. If you're doing the work and you don't believe in it, then guess what? The work is really no good because you don't believe it. That's why the scripture tells us to believe. We have to believe first, right? Telling people you believe, that's for them. That's not for you. But they really need to believe in what you do rather than believe in what you say. Okay. And number three, we have to look at some examples of faith. The scripture in this story gave us two examples. The book of Hebrews, it gives you several examples of faith. Oh my goodness. But in this one, he talks about Abraham and he talks about Rahab. He talked about both of them believed something, and that's why they did what they did. Abraham believed God and he was willing to make a sacrifice unto his son, Isaac. But God spoke to him, and guess what? God chose, he had a ram in the bush. That's where that comes from. And Rahab was a prostitute. Yes, she wasn't living a life, but guess what? She heard, and all of these things was going on, and she believed. You see, it's not about what we say, it's about what we believe. So listen, I want to encourage you today. You know, some of us have been faking some things out. We fake ourselves out. And I tell you, don't be faked out. Don't fake yourself out. Don't fake other people out, right? If that's not you, then that's not you. If you can't do it, then you can't do it. But if you believe you can do it, don't be afraid to try. And even if you try and you fail that one time, if God said, I need you to keep doing it, then you keep doing it. That's how I am where I am now. I didn't believe that I could do this. I just didn't believe because of my stuttering problem. I was focusing on my stuttering problem. And I know people say, fake it till you make it. I didn't fake it till I made it. I was honest with myself. And that's what you need to be. Be honest with yourself. You see, when you're honest with yourself, you're not faking anyone out. You're real with yourself. You're faithing it out. And at some point when you do it enough, what you see yourself doing on the outside, you'll see yourself doing on the inside. And when you get it on the inside, now you know you're faithing it out. You know why? Because you're going to demonstrate it. You don't even have to tell anyone. They're going to see it by what you do. That's what I'm talking about. That's when you're talking about faithing things out. Don't worry about telling everybody what's going on and what you're going through. And don't worry about all that. They'll see it. And then they'll say, man, they're going through that. How are they getting through that? And then they'll see it's your faith. You won't even have to tell them. And that's what this thing's all about. So the next time you hear somebody tell somebody to just fake it till you make it, just tell them, you know what? I'd rather faith it to make it. And that's what I want to encourage you to do today. So listen, it's been a tremendous honor to just be able to share this with you. And I look forward to seeing you on the next episode. Peace.